Hello and welcome to another video. So it's been a long time, but we're back at it again, this time with Shadowverse Worlds Beyond. We'll get right into it. We've got a Kuon Dclimb deck for Rune going on. Quite a solid deck so far. I mean, that's all I've played in rank, basically. I had a little go with Rhino Roach, if you caught that on the stream, but for the most part, been running this, and this has been quite solid. Does have a little bit of trouble with its dragon and aggro sword matchups, but yeah, not much you can really do about that. They're kind of dominant forces when it comes to early game metas, so it's not really a surprise. But this definitely holds its own, and I'm sitting at around a 50-50 win rate with those two decks as my opponents. And for the most part, every other deck I'm positive on, so it hasn't really been too much trouble. So getting right into it, this deck is a spell boost deck. If anyone is tried and true and classic as that, spell boost cannot go wrong. So Foresight being our 1-cost draw, Stormblast being our classic damage scaling. Then we've got a couple of newer spell boosting cards. Obviously the Merida card, really nice. Spell boost hand, deals damage on Evo while also spell boosting hand. Rune Knight giving us a choice effect effectively, now called Mode, which gives us spell boost too as well. We're completely ignoring the Earthright in this deck in particular, but that's okay. Homework Time is under our draw 2 spell, that also gets a cost reduction after being spell boost 5 times. It goes down to 1, becomes Looking Smart, and does 2 damage to a random follower as well. Very nice card. Starry Eye Penguin, classic Penguin card. Fanfare draw 2, evolve, spell boost your hand 2. Quite a solid card, even if it does contest slots for, you know, turn 4 plays quite a bit. I like to play things like Anne and Grey on 4 when I'm going second and stuff with some of the new mechanics, so it works out quite well. Speaking of Anne and Grey, we get Summon and Summoning, 5/5 Rush Ward, very solid, does destroy itself, but it does its job before that, so always going to be quite good. Also getting a spell boost of 3 from your hand, and obviously being able to select enemy follower on Evo and deal it 3 damage. Very good, very solid. Rune Blader being another nice solid pick. I am just running this because it's fucking good. Only as a 2-of, because otherwise it might brick you out a bit much. But on spell boost, give this follower +1/+1. Fanfare, select enemy follower on the field, deal X damage. X is this follower's attack. So this thing can nuke board when it comes to killing off big followers, and can just create a really nice big body. William, 6-drop 5/5. X starts at 0. All the cards that usually specify will give you an X start set value. On spell boost, increase X by 1. Fanfare, deal X damage to all enemy followers. Evolve, spell boost your hand 2 times. Again, really nice board wiper card. Really like this one. Actually works really well. Can be a little clunky on 6, but pretty good in matches where you're dealing with wide boards or big threats, since you can boost it quite high. Now, one of the 2 main cards of this deck, Kuon, 5-fold Master, Fanfare, summon a Celestial Shinigami, Demonic Shinigami, and Paper Shinigami. All these Shinigamis are as standard, this one being the 4-drop with Ward, and the last word, spell boost your hand 3 times. The Demonic being a 3/3/3 with a Rush for spell boost your hand, and then Paper Shinigami being the weakest of the lot at a 2-cost 2/1, Rush, last word, spell boost your hand. And Noble Shinigami comes out as the enhanced 10, destroying all Shinigami followers, summoning a Noble Shinigami. The Noble Shinigami, when this follower enters the field, give it +X+Y. X and Y is the total base attack and defense of all allied Shinigami followers destroyed this turn. And then Super Evolution, select an allied Shinigami follower on the field and give it Storm. So this is kind of your big game ender card. You're trying to boost that Shinigami, get him out. If you do manage to prop all of the Shinigamis off Kuon, he does become a 10-drop, which, you know, kills things, basically. Does half your opponent's health. Very solid card. Does a pretty decent job. Demonic Call can also synergize, although I typically just use it as a spell booster. Although, you know, probably should try and use it more with Kuon, because on spell boost reduced its cost, so it can become a 0-cost spell pretty easily, and it summons a Demonic Shinigami that we just looked at, which is just a solid card all around. I am running 3 Blaze Destroyers. These things, if you drop them turn 5, turn 6, pretty much can shut out your opponent. They are also just big threats that have to be dealt with, so anything that can be spell boosted to 0 like that is always a solid choice. And now the new D-Shift style card. Not quite as good as D-Shift, but getting there. This is an 18-drop Dimensional Climb. On spell boost, reduce the cost of this card by 1. Return your hand to your deck, draw 5 cards, spell boost your hand 5 times, and fully recover your play points. Not quite as good as D-Shift, as you don't get that extra turn proc, which causes your followers to go from standard followers to storm followers, basically. You know, being able to actually attack would be nice, but still extremely good. Spell boost is also now retained when returned to deck. So any card that is now sent to deck off Dimensional Climb retains its spell boost, which is huge. So if you guys do want to check it out, you can check out the QR code here. It will become very handy. And I may also post a link to the deck in the description below, so you can check it out there. So I did manage to pull off a 7 win streak with this deck quite easily, and I did a pretty good job with it, I'm not going to lie. So hopefully you guys will be able to check that out too. That was pretty nice on stream, but now we're going to look at a couple of matches. Alright, starting it off here, we are going to look at this match where I was playing Rune and they were playing Sword. So we're kicking us off pretty strong here, honestly. It's actually a pretty nice matchup overall. We will play it from here. So this is obviously our turn 1. Going into it in immediate draw card, always really strong. If you can open Foresight, you always want to. It's always really good. Quick Blader from the aggro sword, pretty common what they're going to go for. If they don't, usually you know you're in a pretty good spot. If they do start with it, you do have to deal with it pretty quickly, because they do kind of snowball pretty hard. As you can see, they like to snowball as many followers on the board as possible. Me having to skip turn 2 was a rough outcome, but not the worst thing in the world. We have some okay follow-ups coming up soon. Definitely was a rough start looking at this hand, but we do get to go into the draw some more. Why not? Unfortunately, that does mean we are going to have to accept a fair bit of damage from these early plays. So they get a full board of followers just on board to deal with, and it's not easy to deal with this stuff. Fortunately, turn 5, we do get the Anna and Greya. We do get to just pull it to board, which is going to wipe out at least 3 things. There's the one upside to Anna and Greya. Typically, you will clear 3 things pretty easily, while also retaining 2 followers, or in this case, usually 1, because the ward does self-destruct at the end of your opponent's turn. Fortunately, they decided they're going to send some stuff into it because they wanted to go wide. Works out in my favor, because then I can honestly just wipe them with William next turn. Because why not? Wiping William out early is always a good play here. We can just clear. That honestly sets us up pretty nice for a Kuon play on turn 7. They do try going for the Rusty here, which is fine. They did super evolve it, which does allow them to just run over my follower. Because if you do have more stats than your opponent's health, you will just run them over. You don't actually take any damage when that happens. As you're going to basically see here, when I super evolve the Kuon, we go for the super evolve. He does give Storm to his Shinigami here, so we can give it the 4-5, so we get hit, which does allow us to do a total of 10 plus 1 for running over their follower. They do get the Bane, not that it has too much impact here. Sword games are usually decently quick. I think this game totaled 5 minutes, including all of their play, so it is on the quick side, so the replay is going to be short, but hey, here we are. So they did develop a pretty okay board out of this. Not really going to work when I have Demonic Call backing me up though. Does allow me to just wipe out these 3 3s without much issue, and does allow me to just go for face. So they did end up conceding right at the end there. Alright, our next match here is against Ramp Dragon. Ramp Dragon can be a little bit of a problem, especially as I've noticed as I've climbed later into the ranks now. It's actually probably the most annoying matchup, just because they ramp so quickly and they usually have perfect ramp, which annoys me because they just pull out ramp immediately and it's a pain to deal with. So we do start off with a pretty okay hand. We do manage to at least spell boost the 1 set of cards here, get them on equal playing field. We're trying to get these Blaze Demons on the board as quickly as kind of possible here. There's a lot of passing going on and they're basically just ramping uncontrollably here, like they're on 6 play points on turn 3. Kind of wild. We do get to play the Greya thanks to our play point advantage from going second, which does get us at least a triple spell boost. I decide to also Evo. Even though I'm not getting too much value out of that play, I want to make it hard to remove, because I don't want them to just play something and immediately kill it. I want them to have to be forced into actually playing cards to deal with my cards. Because the more removal and the more cards they have to waste dealing with me, the less I have to deal with them. So we get to go to Foresight here, we get to go to another Foresight, dropping it double, really nice. Then into Rune Knight, going for the spell boost 2. We get to go for both of the demons here. Blaze Destroyer, turn 5. We also evo the other Blaze Destroyer because we say, hey, fuck it, deal with my board. What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? And then they wipe it with the Twilight Dragon because I forget that they were going for turn 9 there. So that was kind of awful, not going to lie, but at least it did force the Twilight Dragon. We are able to pretty easily remove this with the Kuon play though. We do have to go for Super Evolve, which isn't great. We're spending a lot of resources here. If I hadn't realized this, I wouldn't have went for that Evo on the previous turn. But at least we get 5 damage in, which is what we want. We need to get that damage in when we can against Dragon, because they're now at 10 play points, and everything we do matters, basically. Because they will just screw us hard. So they go for the Olivia, double Evo. Double Evo is kind of brutal. Fortunately, we do have both Runeblade in our hands, so those are at least options for us. Which we do get to actually play here. I do need a way to clear the 4-5 though, which kind of sucked here. So I end up going for the Evo on the Blaze Destroyer, make it really big. Make it more difficult to deal with again. Basically you have to force out another Twilight Dragon, and even if you do, you still have to deal with the 11-11. Which you could do by just ramming the 2-2, not gonna lie. I didn't really think about that at the time, but basically I sat down another board and said, hey, can you deal with it? If you can't, it is going to run you over pretty badly. Unfortunately for me, they said, hey, I'm up for that challenge, and they dealt with it pretty effectively. Although it did cost them quite a few cards. Which honestly, pretty good upside to me. It does mean it's going to be hard for me now to establish damage on board. And I'm pretty much banking on the Runeblade for the long term. And the William for the wider clear. Although William here doesn't look too, too bad. Also, the Runeblade is also quite good now. Being able to just solo clear this, while I can't deal with that 5-5 that has Intimidate, I can at least strike him in the face. Always getting that damage where I can with the Rune deck. Unfortunately, they do then send their final Super Evolution to do as much as they can here with removal. Lucky for me, I do have the William in my backline here, ready to go. Just about ready to start setting up on them. I end up going for double Rainbow here, which does get us the Looking Smart proc, which is what I wanted. So we have got that set up and ready to go for next turn, while also getting William boosted. So they are down to just 3 cards, resorting to as much as they can do here. We end up getting a pretty okay hit there. Not the best hit in the world, but definitely fine. I just needed to find a way to get the homework time working so that I could wipe the 6-6 here and only leave the 5-5 body that they leave left over. We do get another 5 damage to face as well, which is why I needed to clear that ward. Unfortunately, with no Super Evolve, I can't do a big Kuon play that will actually really substantially hinder them. The best kind of Kuon play I can do here is throwing down the 10 drop basically, while spell boosting everything with Dimensional Climb and then playing Dimensional Climb. So that I can try and make more board off this board. Which actually worked out pretty well, not gonna lie. We end up going Demon Call here with a Storm Blast as well. Just to take care of what we needed to do. Leaving them with just 1 card and 1 draw to deal with my board. Which unfortunately wasn't going to be enough for them. If you go wide continuously, it is really hard for them to deal with. Alright, and now this will be probably one of the last ones we look at. This will be the Portalcraft matchup. So Portalcraft, I haven't had anywhere near as much trouble as Aggro Sword and Ramp Dragon. We actually get to see the mulligan this time, since I'm starting the replay basically from the very, very start. So, not too bad a start again. Getting those double Blaze Destroyers really does help you out. Although, not always the best. It is a gamble, honestly. Like here, it just kind of worked, because I could easily go for the double play point on the turn 2. On the turn 1, technically, using the second advantage. I can then play it, which, boosts me quite a bit. We do then go Marinda, trying to keep that homework time ready to go. We do end up with a foresight as well, but I want to start playing a little more on curve, sticking some bodies to the board, because Portal, while generating its gears, will also generate bodies, which you do have to kind of deal with. Because they are trying to set up for their big XYZ Masterwork style card, They're going to go for it, they're going to try and drop it on 10, they're going to try and kill you with it. While also setting up their board in advance. It'll honestly be probably one of the next videos I do. The Portal deck is a lot of fun. I've only played a couple of games with it, but it was pretty good. Probably still not as good as Ramp Dragon Aggro Sword is for consistency though, not gonna lie. So we can go for the looking smart here. Unfortunately, I was looking for the correct 50-50 there. I wanted to hit the 1-2 so that I could then kill the 3-3 and then I wouldn't be forced into having to play looking smart there to try and clear. But we ended up going that way anyway, and we do end up clearing it, no issue, so it wasn't actually a problem. They do end up getting out the Maiden Reborn. Not a card I like to see a lot, but also not a card that's super threatening. It's just kind of an inconvenience more than anything. So, turn 5, we are looking at a double Blaze Dragon again, you know, Blaze Destroyer, sorry. Really nice. Plus the other one is also pretty low now. So turn 5, we drop both Blaze Destroyers and we say, hey, can you deal with an Evoed Blaze Destroyer and a normal Blaze Destroyer? If the answer is no, maybe this isn't a game for you right now. Fortunately for them, they do have the Bullet, which does allow them to easily kill one. And their artifacts don't make it too hard for them to honestly set up for next turn. So they're really just getting ready. Fortunately for me, I do have a Kuon and the Playpoint proc, so I am going to get the Super Evolve, get the extra 4 damage. We're going to also just go really wide on them, which they do have a little trouble dealing with typically. Portal isn't the best deck, it seems like, to deal with really, really wide boards, especially with decent stat lines. Like low health stuff, not too bad, you can kind of deal with them, but you can't really deal with the big boards too much, so it does become quite tricky for them. But that does conclude this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. There will be plenty more coming along the way, along with plenty more streams coming out over the next coming weeks. So hopefully you guys can all tune in, look forward to it, and enjoy. So until next time, guys, I'll see you then.